So the topic today we're going to cover is the impact of COVID-19 pandemic to the Indian automotive sector. As you're aware, COVID-19 pandemic has spread across the world and has affected the people and the economy a lot. And the automotive industry is no exception and is being hit hard. So we will start with the global outlook. So it's been adversely affected global economy. Starting United States, which is being the largest components market. The strict stay-at-home orders in most of the states, but while we're talking now, they're relaxing a bit. About 28 states are opening up. And similar case in United Kingdom, which is the third largest components market. Stay-at-home and shutdown of all factories. And Germany, South Africa, everywhere it's the same. So the prediction from Goldman Sachs is about the global economy is going to shrink by about 1% by the fiscal year 21. In India, the short-term domestic demand is going to decline. The priorities is going to will be given to healthcare, health and welfare. Currently, the 21-day lockdown is getting extended, and it's going to impact on tourism, hospitality, manufacturing. But where India is going to really struggle is export markets, and $9 billion of vehicle components exposed to North America and Europe. That's going to be the real struggle. So the India sales outlook, what you see on the screen is a statistic from Society of Indian Automotive Manufacturers as reported by PwC on their latest report on navigating COVID-19 turbulence. So the two-wheeler, the recovery is going to happen only by Q1 of 2021. What you see is about the three different colors, pessimistic, realistic, and optimistic. And the black one is optimistic. So the recovery, as I said, is going to happen on Q1 of 2021. This is expected recovery. These are all analysis and perceptions and predictions given by analysts. And the year-on-year change of the two-wheeler for different scenarios like optimism, pessimistic, and realism will be from -12% to 22%. And preference for personal transport to be a key driver, and used vehicle market to capture a significant share of this demand. Informal sector, a key buyer of two-wheelers affected significantly by the downturn. And online sales, that's going to grow a lot. Next is passenger vehicle. Here also the same, the expected recovery is from on Q1 of 2021, and the percentage of change of the total sales is -8% to -18% for all different scenarios as I mentioned. Passenger vehicles are expected to show strong growth post-recovery. Mobility preferences for personal mode of transport to have significant impact on demand, and shared mobility segment to remain subdued in the coming months. And segment downgrade by the buyers. That's going to happen a lot. If they choose to buy one particular variant, they might go one level low. Commercial vehicles is the same on expected recovery on first quarter of Q1, and the average change, percentage change of sales is going from -15% to 26%. Commercial vehicle segment is already carrying excess capacity because of GST impact, axle loading, movement of goods lower due to weak economy, and with logistics disruptions in continuing in the hot zones and the customers not in investment mode, sector will show a very delayed recovery. So first recoveries are going to be two-wheelers, followed by passenger vehicles, and then commercial vehicles. So how the industry to be ready? What kind of preparations it has to make? So divided into the entire activities into different categories. One is customer segments, product launches, channels, and ecosystems. The customer segments. Assess the impact across the core segments, like what should we do? Should we plan for mass market, or should we plan for premium? rural versus urban, private versus fleet. When I said industry, this is going to be a mix of everything: automotive, OEMs, component manufacturers, everyone. So that again, going back to customer segments, protect the core segments and prioritize segments that are showing more resilience, and then sense any significant impact on core segments. Identify new segments, opportunities are relatively insulated. Refocus on the business areas, segments which are under stress. Protect and grow attractive business segments. Next is product launches. Evaluate any product delay costs and revise target costs. Assess launch readiness, identify opportunities to accelerate launches. Review product launch on the basis of segment trends. Prepare for digital soft launches, assess launch readiness and ability to scale up new models. We can shelve product launches that do not meet the revised business case. Evaluate and invest in product solutions that meet the evolving customer needs. Channels. Enhance promotional activities across digital channels, enabling digital channels journey. Evaluate network strength and expansion plans. Optimize sales channels for revised demand projections. Invest in convenient digital sales and marketing channels. Restructure sales channels to create more flexibility and resilience. Develop integrated digital channels to enhance visibility of demand and customer needs. Ecosystem. Evaluate financial health of suppliers and dealers to develop support initiatives. Evaluate opportunities to enhance the resilience of ecosystem. Support suppliers and dealers with financial initiatives to ensure sustenance. Review and enhance ecosystem continuity plans. Explore opportunities for strategic investment in distressed partners. Identify alternative sources, channel partners in line with the revised strategy. So these are the type of preparations across different categories. Now we'll talk about the concerns and the measures to address those concerns across the industry. So for that, I have divided the issues into different territories. One is workforce, supply chain, liquidity, demand, government role, and services security. So we'll start with the workforce as one of the main segment which has been significantly affected by the coronavirus. The fear of job losses, pay cut, worry about future, etc. among the employees. But as we're talking, a lot of green shoots happening. Many factories are opening up across the world. The Volkswagen the plant opened recently, the world's largest car maker. They have made 100 changes to the way its plant operates as it tries to restart business without risking the health of hundreds, thousands of its workers. These include tight physical distancing norms, strict implementation of masks, continuous practice of hygiene across their plants. I believe in India also similar kind of practices will be brought into before we start the operations. Perhaps it could be more implementation of robots, distancing of machine to machine and labor to labor. In India, labor unrest will be most important challenge which organizations need to deal with once the factory operations restart. So the workforce, I'll talk about the most important and immediate horizons, which is employee health and wellness, remote working enablement and compliance, and urgent need of HR policies. So employee health and wellness. Conduct health and wellness trainings, revise leave, travel, hospitalization insurance, hospitalization and insurance, manage employee morale through care and communication, establishing employee support service, example, dedicated hotline number. The remote working enablement and compliance, test and enable technologies to support collaboration and communication, remote working policy and data security compliance, rewire of HR policies, realign hiring, onboarding, exits, and L&D policies to support the organizational strategy and the current scenario. The midterm horizons, which is a virtual capability building, managing virtuality as a capability, building leadership capability for a virtual world, coaching of leaders and staff for morale and resilience, future focus capability building and digital fitness, transitions management, compliance and brand management around workforce transitions, coaching and career transition support for impacted staff, scenario-based workforce transition plan creation, and for the continued, relatively moderate and continued horizons, which is continuous communication and connect, constant communication to employee, notifying about the measures taken amid COVID-19, share knowledge from credible sources like World Health Organizations, creating a digital workplace of the future. Cost and productivity, workforce planning and management, refining performance expectations, plan for increase, absenteeism and work refusal, senior executives, white collar and blue collar productivity plans. So next concern is impact on supply chains. As you know, most of the imports come in India, about 31% of the imports are coming from China. However, those imports, the risk is going to be moderate. The main high-risk category countries are going to be Germany, USA, Italy, UK, and Belgium. The peak disruption is going to happen in the month of May, more than 50% risk of disruption, and it might ease only by October or November timeframe later this year. And for moderate risk countries, already the disruption is passed in the month of March, and it's going to ease by September. So in India, the top 5 imported components are drivetrain, electrical and electronics components, body and chassis components, engineering engine components, and suspension and brake components. So in the drivetrain, about 76% is a common moderate risk, and the rest high risk. For electrical, 78%, body and chassis, 77%, and for engine components, 74%. For suspension, brake, related, everything is in the moderate. So according to the JM Financial Research, saying that companies are not anticipating a very major impact on production by June timeframe, which I'm not sure about that data, because the way it's going, extended lockdowns, there could be much more production halts. But the supplies from China have resumed as supplier plants are back online, albeit at a lower capacity. Companies are making alternate sourcing arrangements as it need be. And companies like Bajaj Auto, they are airlifting critical components. And Maruti Suzuki, MSIL, which have limited sourcing exposure from China, are closely monitoring the situation in Italy, as certain CNG parts are sourced from Italy. And then finally, the BS6 ramp-up is happening along with improvement in supply position in China, easing the condition for few OEMs. Liquidity crunch, as a heavy liquidity crunch in the industry. Prices in 2019-2020, the sector faced troubles in maintaining the sales and profitability numbers on a quarterly and even yearly basis. In August 2019, there was a 36% drop in domestic sales for market leader Maruti Suzuki, with 95,000 units being sold due to subdued market confidence. And March 2020 numbers show the effect of lockdown due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Again, 50% sales fall for Maruti Suzuki. Similar is the case with Mahindra, Hyundai, and many other OEMs. And combined with the switch from Bharat's 4 to Bharat's 6 emission norms is also added to the woes. So there's a lot of an inventory pile-up, halt of production, and the Society of Indian Automotive Manufacturers, last year they wrote to the government to take appropriate measures to promote the flow of credit in system to facilitate new vehicle purchases. This is emphasized to improve liquidity, specifically in the NBFC sector, lending, which saw both monthly and quarterly based on fall in sales, and had even led to closure of few dealerships. So how do we manage liquidity? The steps are very clear, very fundamental. One is understand the inflow part, understand the key cash drivers and current cash position, obtain weekly detailed collection plan, and utilize the cash, utilize the money for non-core and surplus assets, monetize for non-core and surplus assets. Outflow. Prepare supplier-wise weekly payment plan, classify into statutory payments, critical contractual payments, discretionary spend. Review the pipeline expenditure, optimization of production and business plans, utilize it very well. Identifying vendors offering longer credit terms or discounts. So that's on the liquidity part. We talk about demand. We don't know how the demand is going to be, but looking at the market overview, the income, since the income is going to be down because of job losses and pay cuts, and the price decline of assets, that's going to be down, and market sentiments to remain low. The mobility preference, yes, that's a positive thing. There are going to be more personal mobility choices, so that's a good thing happening immediately after the pandemic. When the market opens up, there will be huge demand for the personal mobility. People wanted to get into have more privacy and staying away from the crowd to avoid community spread. And finance rate, yes, there are some they might lower a little bit of finances. So postpone the customer demand. The necessity with long-term decision-making cycle, most of the demand will not disappear, but it may postpone to the Q4 or to 2021 due to the pandemic. The pandemic might stimulate the demand for first purchase opportunity. Shrinking purchase power, again, that's negative. The pandemic has greatest impact on service industry and dispensable income for a number of industries, that's leading to shrinking purchase power. Now, as I said, immediately after all this lockdown and downturn, to capture the first demand, develop marketing strategies to address consumer and current emotions, focus on tier 3-4 cities, and focus on compact model. Online marketing is going to play a very, very important role. Promote more new channels of online marketing and increase the conversion rate via actively engaging with the potential customers. For example, Mercedes-Benz, 3 days back, they opened a promotion booking through their online channels. This is a reference graph given here, the China projection of 2020. With all this pandemic, starting from there, they estimate a growth in the sales, passenger vehicle sales. It's classified into aggressive, actual, optimistic baseline. But I'm not sure how much India can learn from that. Government role is going to be less role of government. However, what government can propose, they can do tax cuts and other incentives like reduce impact of taxes and duties, and liquidate the BS4 stock. And also extend the timeline for selling the BS4 vehicles. So next one is the services, IT and security. A large number of employees will be enabled to work from home. So to identify functions and number of employees in infrastructure, ensure secure practices and awareness, provide the contact details of IT and information security teams to the employees. IT security and tools, sufficient internet connectivity and bandwidth, 24/7 availability of crisis management team, VPN coverage in the complete network, laptop, mobiles, desktops, and voice over IP. Hardware and data centers, policy clarity on personal device usage, issue of laptops, all data centers to be equipped with live hot network, robust scalable security infrastructure, adequate staffing of managed IT services partners. Software and licensing, optimum mix of traditional cloud-based solutions, prioritize critical daily use software, prioritize softwares with easy remote access and installation, bandwidth and data backup. Ensure ISP and VPN solutions have both upstream and downstream sufficient with bandwidth. Plan for peak and load scenarios. Cyber security, most important. Awareness on possible modus operandi of cyber attacks. Authorization of resources based on relevance. Multi-factor adaptive risk-based authentication. Identify management solutions should be updated. And remote working methods. Many of the people are going to be new for remote methods. So you have to train workers with the nonsenses of remote working, and disseminate guidance templates to make remote working self-explanatory. So that comes to almost to the end of the webinar with some key takeaways, which is like personal mobility in focus, which I've explained earlier, and then delay in EV plans. EV plans can wait with a stretched economy where the money will be spent on core reconstruction for the next 12 months. The EV push can wait for some time. Next is cleaner public transport. So incorporate in-vehicle hygiene aids for operators and passengers, have in-vehicle health emergency aids, and 3, ensure cleaner bus stops, bus depots, metro stations, and daily sanitization. Operating and therefore travel costs should go up a bit, but regulations will come into effect. It's a good opportunity for India to get into the cleaner public transport system. Redesigned shop floor, more low contact technologies and robotics are going to be in place, therefore spare people at hand across the value chain. The shop floor will be totally redesigned, become more compact, with fewer stations and greater digital interventions and measures. India's, I wouldn't say India's, labor unrest is going to be a problem. It will be a critical problem the industry has to grapple with. Can have the making of social unrest with a growing young and educated unemployed population waiting to take over these jobs. New age skills, the industry has been discussing this for a long time. Now ASTC can gainfully use surplus people in new modes of employment and existing workforce in coexisting with low contact operations. Rise in people investment. Industry will learn to invest more in health, hygiene, and basic operating conditions of the workforce. Beyond, and this will be beyond large automakers at the even smallest component makers right across the entire value chain. Costs will surely go up per person, but the balance out as there will be fewer workers on the floor. Digital and drones connect. This industry has been a late adopter of digital but can hold back no more. The digital interface will become the primary medium of reaching out using enhanced artificial intelligence, machine learning. Drones will also become a part of the integral to connecting. New way of selling, customer focus. This like online media, as I said, more and more shift towards online will happen rather than from showrooms. Most important, domestic sourcing. Over dependence on China should go out. Brings in fresh investment. Can adjust the surplus skilled labor force and hedge all future risks. The only issue is cost, but scale based on creating a viable alternative to China for the global automotive industry and can sort that out. Less government, the OEMs and suppliers and other companies need to be self-sufficient. The industry has to fight its own battle alone, have more aggressive posture in getting things done that benefit both the automaker and customer with less dependency on government. Force majeure, so far we have seen this clause in agreements and proposals, but now it's becoming a reality. So industry has to put in place task force to plan, train, equip, and prepare itself for future emergencies. This has to be done together and not individual. Emergency action has to be on a self-sufficient platform in terms of relief, interventions, and remedies. Unity, yes. The entire sector has to unify together. The traditional OEMs, the new energy automakers, network partners, component makers, and technology suppliers have all need to come together, and associations like SIAM, FADA, ACMA, SMEM, they all need to bring all these companies together to fight against such a pandemic. So that's the end of my webinar. If you have any questions, you can post it in the chat box.